Every nation on Earth carries enormous debt. The US owes over $38 trillion. The European Union, $14 trillion. Japan, nearly $9 trillion. Even all rich monarchies and export superpowers owe mountains of money. But here's the paradox. If everyone owes money, who is everyone indebted to? Debt isn't just a burden. It's the hidden framework of the modern world. Wars, booms, crashes every year rests on an unseen lattice of IOS. And when you trace the chain far enough, you discover something unexpected. The world owes the money to itself. But not everyone benefits equally. To understand how we reached $315 trillion in global debt, we go back to 1694. England was fighting France and running out of gold. Merchants stepped in, offering money to the crown in exchange for permanent interest payments, backed by future taxes. To manage this revolutionary idea, the Bank of England was created. This was the birth of the government bond, the DNA of today's financial system. Other nations copied it. The US used it to win independence and expand westward. Debt became not a sign of desperation, but a mark of credibility. Empires once extracted gold by conquering land. Now they extract interest by issuing bonds. Fast forward to today, debt is the world's most exported commodity. Nations borrow, banks lend. Citizens, through taxes and pensions, are both creditors and debtors. So who holds all this debt? Take the United States. About half of its $38 trillion is held by public investors. 2/3 of that is owned by Americans' pension funds, banks, insurance companies, and the Federal Reserve. The remaining 1/3 sits overseas. China holds only about 2% of America's total debt. Most US debt is owed to the US itself. This circular pattern repeats globally. Japan buys US bonds. The US funds Europe through the IMF. Europe lends to developing countries. Those countries lend back to wealthy nations by holding their bonds. It's a worldwide loop of promises supported by other promises. Behind governments sits an even larger force. The markets, hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, pensions, and central banks decide who can borrow easily and who pays a premium for survival. When confidence evaporates, currencies crash, governments collapse, and economies are reshaped overnight. Democracy picks leaders. Markets decide which leaders stay standing. And above them all, central banks, creators of modern money, turn government debt directly into currency. Every dollar, bill, and digital balance is an IOU. There is no debt-free money. The system runs on trust. When trust falters, the consequences are brutal. Greece in 2010, yields spiked. The IMF intervened, and austerity followed. Tax hikes, spending cuts, mass unemployment. Argentina's repeated defaults turned debt into a national wound. Sri Lanka's economic collapse showed what happens when foreign currency runs out. In these moments, creditors suddenly have faces, rating agencies, the IMF, anonymous bondholders. Yet eventually, the system resets. Old debts are restructured. New loans replace old ones, and the machine begins again. Here is the real secret. Modern sovereign debt is not meant to be repaid. It is meant to be rolled over forever. Governments refinance endlessly like a subscription that never ends. Interest becomes the product. Stability is the service. The US will never pay off its $38 trillion. Japan's debt is 250% of GDP, yet interest rates are near zero. Government bonds aren't liabilities to investors, they're assets. The bedrock of global finance. If the US paid off its debt tomorrow, the global economy would implode. Safe collateral would vanish. The dollar supply would shrink. Deflation would sweep across the world. Debt is not the problem. Debt is the operating system. When we say we owe it to ourselves, we leave out a crucial truth. Interest payments flow upward from taxpayers and workers to institutions and investors. Debt is not only a transfer between countries, it is a transfer between classes. That's why global inequality and global indebtedness rise together. The system rewards those who own the debt. It burdens those who service it. Creditors and debtors are not enemies, they're two sides of the same engine. But the engine needs constant fuel. If your borrowing ever slows, the illusion cracks. And then the question, who is the creditor, stops being abstract. At the top of the global pyramid, there is no single villain. Not China, not Wall Street, not the IMF. It's all of them and all of us. Debt has become money. Money has become collateral. Collateral has become the backbone of global markets. The line between debtor and creditor has blurred beyond recognition. Debt once meant chains. Today it means balance. But if that balance tips, if confidence breaks, the illusion ends. And we're reminded of the truth. Debt is a promise that cannot last forever. If this gave you a new way to see the world, hit subscribe. History keeps the receipts. I'll show you where to look.